Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel that's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @Pless. And note that I did post a couple of setups yesterday, one in Tesla, bearish setup in Tesla, and then a bullish setup in NVIDIA yesterday. So if you are active on X, please take a look. If you like what you see, give me a follow and a like. That would be appreciated. All right, so again on X, @DougPless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. First of all, I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100, and the large cap tech stocks that I follow and trade, like the Mag 7 stocks. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, and SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the S&P 500 futures, that's a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the Nasdaq 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid version of that index, the ETF version of that index. And NQ is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups in that asset can be taken any number of ways. For example, for the S&P 500, setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Hello, Katinga. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. All right, here's my agenda for today, Friday, April 12th. First of all, I want to go over news items to wrap up the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis from today. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll move to the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with news items. Michigan consumer sentiment came out at 10 a.m. I don't know if that was really much of a market mover. The market was already making a series of lower highs, and when this data came out, it just continued lower. So Michigan consumer sentiment came in lower than expected and lower than the previous number. All right, so let's move on to positional analysis now. I'm going to start with the SP 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. Let's just zoom out for a quick perspective. So the current down move began really somewhere in the pre-market, maybe 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., something like that, when the ES broke below VWAP shown by the light blue line, and and the SP 500 continues to make a series of lower highs. All right, so let's move back and just take a look at from the cash open on. All right, so again, this is ES futures and Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the SPX, the underlying index. I'm going to start with a one-day chart. This is Thinkorswim showing a one-day chart for SPX. And the rally that it looks like it's coming under pressure now, maybe has ended, began last year, October 30th. And the green trend line is showing the SPX rallied up over 1,150 points. And definitely getting weaker. This is the weakest that the SPX, weakest price action since the rally began. All right, so this is a one-day chart. Now let's move to a shorter time frame. I'm going to take a look at a 1-hour chart. This is the top of that trend line. High for SPX right around 52.65. That was a couple of weeks ago, and since then SPX has been making a series of lower highs, and the drop has just accelerated today. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines, and that's this lower dashed purple line. I'll talk more about this other line, 5139, in just a minute. So the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. That's based on the closing price for SPX last Friday. Those levels remain in place for the entire week. Note that SPX is trading now below the lower weekly expected move. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. This is also based on the options market. Based on the closing price from yesterday, I do post these numbers in Discord the evening before. So both of these numbers, the daily and weekly expected moves, I did post in Discord in the options hashtag chat channel last evening. All right, the other lines on this chart are Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels. They're based on gamma-weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers. And they're available on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim, again, a 30-day, 1-hour chart. I'm going to go over the key daily levels. First of all, 5,000. That's the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. Above that is 5150. That's the put wall. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support and not doing its job today. And that level did move up from yesterday. Yesterday it was at 5100. So yesterday the put wall was down here at 5100. And above that is the volatility trigger. At 51.90, that is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. We'll take a look at the Vana model in a minute and see that the Vana is definitely in play for today. This is definitely a very negative gamma environment. Gamma notional at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500 was negative. For SPX, just slightly negative, and now much more negative. We'll take a look at the Vana model to see a graphical representation of this in just a minute. And above that level, above the volatility trigger, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And note again, SPX is trading firmly below that volatility trigger. Finally, the call wall is at 5,300. That's the historical largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. That level definitely not in play for today, since SPX is trading below the put wall. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX. And again, this is the underlying index. That's why I spend so much time with this. All right, so let's take a look now at a 1-minute chart for SPX. And I've zoomed out just a little bit to show the last 3 days worth of data. Remember, SPX only trades during regular trading hours, so it does gap compared to ES. So this is Wednesday. Gap down due to the CPI report. Chop, and then a move higher at the open, driven by primarily 0 DTE options traders taking positive delta positions. So that's Wednesday. Thursday, PPI data came in lower than expected. SPX did revisit low of the day from Wednesday, then rallied pretty sharply. And then today, gap lower. And so far, SPX has been making a series of lower highs. Lower highs. All right. I'm going to note the low of the day, 51.10. We'll take a look at that when we take a look at the Vana model. So let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, volatility trigger. SPX well below that level. Here's the put wall. Was in play earlier today. Lower daily expected move. This recent low, the 51.39, that it acted as support. Wednesday, Thursday, earlier today. And now SPX trading well below that level. Also below the lower weekly expected move that was shown on previous charts. All right, that's the landscape for SPX. All right, let's go back to Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels on this chart. There's the 51.50 put wall. I'm also showing SPY levels on this chart. Both spot gamma levels. There's the 515 large gamma 4 level. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Also note here's this 5169 zero gamma level, the SPY 515 large gamma 4 level, acting as resistance. Earlier today, just after the cash open, good entry point for a short. All right, note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today that difference is somewhere between 43 and 44. I'm using 44. So I'm showing SPX 5100 at ES 5144. All right, hello, Tony. Tony asks, what exactly are the functions of these index relationships? All right, let's take a look at that. So I use those numbers to know where to put the SPY. You're referring to the ES to SPY ratio and the NQ to QQQ ratio. All right, so I'm using these numbers to show the SPY levels at the correct and the QQQ levels. So the SPY levels on my ES chart and the QQQ levels on my NQ chart. So here's what I do. I get these levels from Spotgamma. So the lowest Spotgamma level that it looked like it would be in play for today is the 510 large gamma 3 level. So I'm using this spreadsheet to feed the price lines add-on that I use to populate my cloud notes. I'll show that in just a minute. So this is my spreadsheet. Then what I do is, let's just show this 510 level. So 510, let me click on that cell. And here's the formula. And I put these numbers out to the side so I can use these numbers to calculate the correct ES number. So this is basically ES, this column right here, equal I51. So I'm calculating this level right here, I51 times 10.1172. And I get that 10.1172 from a script that's running a Thinkorswim showing that real-time ratio. So I take that ratio, enter this formula in this cell right here. I'm grabbing this number, calculating the correct ES number in this cell, and so I'm showing the 510 level at 51.59, and price lines rounds that off to 51.59.75. All right, so there you go. Hope that answers your question, Tony. And this is the add-on that I'm using, this price lines add-on, and this is the spreadsheet that I was referring to. All right, let's move on. And that price lines add-on is available in the Bookmap marketplace. All right, let's take a look at Nasdaq. All right, so let me just mention levels in play for today. This 5,200. And just above that is the SPY 514 level. That's just a round number level. Acted as support, resistance, good setup for an afternoon long. The SPY 512, just a round number, that's not a Spotgamma level, acting as support. Also note the point of control is still right at this 5,200. It's difficult to see, that's that purple line, that it's moved down to 5,200. All right, let's move on to Nasdaq now. And we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, so similar pattern for Nasdaq, series of lower highs began before the cash open. Let's take a look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to go to QQQ. Series of lower highs just after the open, this 442, 441.9 combo 2 level acted as resistance. Later in the day, 441 and VWAP acting as resistance. Now it looks like this 437 may be acting as support. There's no label on that. Give me just a moment and let me check what that is. Whoops. $437 is a combo 3 level, combining QQQ and NDX, gamma weighted open interest. Oh, here, I am showing it right here. Combo 3, C3 level, acting as support. So again, combining QQQ and NDX, gamma weighted open interest, into one combined level shown in terms of a QQQ price. And here I have used that ratio that Tony posted just a moment ago to calculate the correct level to show that on my chart. And as we just saw on the QQQ chart, that is the correct level. NQ did trade down to that level, QQQ. Let's take a quick look at NDX. And it looks like the 18,000 level is in play for today. And 18,000 is a large gamma 2 level. And down below that, 17,900 is the absolute gamma strike and the call wall. All right, let's go back to NQ. Levels in play for, again, here's that 442 and then the 441.9 combo 2 level acting as resistance. And now down to the 437 level, that combo 3 so far acting as support today. All right, let's take a quick look at gamma notional and the Vana model to wrap up our positional analysis. So as expected yesterday, after the large rally, gamma notional, this is gamma notional at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, shifted higher. So still negative for the S&P 500, just very mildly negative. That's pretty much neutral for SPX. Still mildly negative for SPY, and then shifted positive for the Nasdaq. Really just mildly positive for QQQ. All right, again, those numbers did shift higher from yesterday. Again, given the big rally. All right, let's take a look at the Vana model now to get a better understanding of what this might mean. What this chart is showing is market maker's delta notional on the vertical axis and the spot price for SPX on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. And the first curve, the light gray curve, shows how market maker's delta notional may change with changes in price only. The purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market maker's delta notional may change with changes in price and implied volatility. And note, as implied volatility increases and nothing else changes, market maker's delta notional will increase just based on the change in implied volatility. And again, that change in delta with a change in implied volatility is the Vana effect. Vana is a second order Greek. So this is the curve that we want to take a look at. So let's check on prices now. So we know the low of the day was right around 51.10. somewhere between these two lines. All right, so we know as price has been dropping, we'll take a look at a chart of VIX in just a minute. Price has been dropping, implied volatility increasing, market makers delta notional is increasing. They have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. So this is definitely shifted toward this negative gamma portion of the Vana model. In this case, market makers are trading in the direction of price. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. So definitely this is put Vana fueled, volatility fueled, move lower. Let's just take a look at VIX. Take a look at a chart for VIX. This is a 5-minute chart for VIX. Note that VIX does trade overnight and began moving higher, significantly higher about 8 a.m. And earlier today traded at 19.2, and that's the high of the year. So we know that overall today, VIX has been increasing, price dropping. So implied volatility increasing, price falling, market makers delta notional increases. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. All right, so that is that wraps up my positional analysis. So based on the day, I forgot to go over shifts and levels. I mentioned for SPX, volatility trigger input wall shifted higher. For SPY, volatility trigger also shifted higher. The call wall shifted lower, and the absolute gamma strike shifted higher. So overall, gamma levels for the S&P 500 did shift higher, so that was slightly bullish. And then, so just based on that, my thesis would be bullish. That shifts in level. Those shifts in levels were expected after the big move yesterday. On the other hand, pre-market definitely bearish. Also keeping this Vana model in mind, watching VIX, and knowing that price is moving lower, that would lead to more of a bearish thesis. And for the Nasdaq, there was only one shift level, shift higher in levels. That was QQQ. Volatility trigger did shift slightly higher. All right, so let's move on from positional analysis now to execution. So everything that we've looked at so far, other than the Bookmap, is based on static data. Spotgamma takes open interest data, updates it once a day. It comes out sometime overnight. They update that and apply their algorithms to those to that information to come up with the levels that I put on my charts. All right, so let's move on to execution now. I want to take a look and see what options traders have been doing today. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. So this is the hero chart, and it's available to Spotgamma subscribers. Hero is Hedging Impact Real-Time Options, HIRO. So this is real-time data now. What this chart is showing is options trades for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. The white line is showing price for SPX, and the purple line is showing the hero signal. A rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive options delta positions. They are buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling hero signal indicates they're taking negative delta positions. They're buying puts and or selling calls. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades. So with a rising hero signal, they have to buy ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. And with a falling hero signal, they have to sell ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. They take the opposite side of customer trades. All right, so let's zoom in on this chart. All right, so pretty choppy hero signal today. Let's just take a look at one thing and we'll see why. I mentioned zero DTE trades before. So all expirations, that is today, next week, next month, that's shown by the purple. That's all trades. And then the green line or teal line is showing options trades that expire today. And for a good bit of today, the zero DTE options trades have made up a very large portion of all trades. And this zero DTE trade tends to be mean reverting, selling highs and buying lows. All right, let's go back to all trades now. So that is one explanation for this up and down hero signal. Makes it a little bit more difficult to interpret hero. But the main thing is this, and we'll combine this by taking a look at order flow and Bookmap to come up with setups. All right, so first of all, note this sharp move higher in hero right at the open for about 20 minutes. It shifts lower. We can zoom in on this just a little bit. All right, so 950 hero signal shifts lower. Then right around 10:05, 10:10, zero DTE traders push it up and still continues lower. So that just made for a slight pause or consolidation as the S&P 500 continued to move lower. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap. We'll go back to the S&P 500. So we know the hero signal shifted lower right around 950. So let's zoom in. Give me just a moment to adjust the chart. All right, so first of all, the volume dots in Bookmap are showing market buy minus sell. Magenta dots indicate they're more sellers than buyers. Magenta dots green volume dots more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots more sellers than buyers. So aggressive buyers on the way up, they become exhausted. A little bit of a stop run that's shown by the small green dot, 450 contracts. Price reverses lower as options traders start to take negative delta positions. Some aggressive sellers come in. Price starts to move lower, makes a lower high right at this 51.69 zero gamma level, and then continues to move lower. All right, so then the S&P 500 just continued to move lower. Notice price started moving down. Sell stop orders helped to fuel the move lower. That's shown by the falling yellow line. This is pretty typical for large traders. They're buying the move down with iceberg orders. They're fading the move. That's shown by this rising light blue line. Large traders are buying this move down with iceberg orders. All right, so since then the S&P 500 has just continued to make a series of lower highs. Deep pullback right around 1130. Let's go take a look at Hero again. Note in this case, this hero flow alert comes in toward the top of this move. These hero flow alerts signal significant options activity, and they can often act as a mean reverting signal. I did post a more detailed explanation in Discord in the Options-Check channel earlier today. And right around 11:30, 11:45, hero starts to shift lower. It takes a while for price to start moving lower. Overall, though, I think hero has been somewhat difficult to interpret today for the S&P 500. All right, so let's move on to Nasdaq. Much easier read here today. Let me show you what I'm looking at. For the Nasdaq, I like to look at this MAG 7 signal. This is another combined signal showing options trades for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven, showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. These stocks make a very large component of the Nasdaq 100 and often drive price. And as usual, this signal is providing a very good indicator for direction for the Nasdaq. Note, in the case of this MAG 7 signal, it has been bearish all day. Traders taking negative delta options positions. Again, much more clear signal. Let's take a look at 10 o'clock. So initially, hero moved lower, a little bit higher, then started to grind down, then dropped sharply right around 10 a.m. Let's go back to Bookmap, go to Nasdaq. Let me zoom just a bit. 10 a.m. Move up to that 442, 441.9 level. Again, aggressive buyers on the way up, shown by the green volume dots. Then aggressive sellers start to come in, shown by the magenta volume dots. Price makes a series of lower highs and sell stop orders continue to fuel the move lower. That's shown by the falling yellow line. And then finally, all the way down to the 437 level. So a series of lower highs, MAG 7 signal providing a very clear indication that traders were taking negative delta positions in those stocks that again make up a very large component of the Nasdaq 100, helping to fuel this move lower in the Nasdaq. Let's go back to hero. All right, so again, this is to me a much more clear signal. And maybe leveling off somewhere starting around 1 o'clock. Traders taking negative delta positions have taken their foot off the gas. And Nasdaq trying to move higher. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. This is Apple. Kind of an unusual move for Apple today. More like some other more volatile stocks in the MAG 7, but it was really one of the best setups of the day. So this is Apple. First of all, note the rising hero signal. Just a few minutes after the open, flow alerts come in, signaling significant options activity. And for stocks, these flow alerts that come in just a few minutes after the open are usually a pretty good signal. So I interpret this as something to get my attention. Neo had asked about this earlier today in Discord. This is how I use these hero signals for stocks. It gets my attention. I'm looking at the direction of price and the direction of the hero signal. I see hero signal moving higher, Apple moving higher. I'm looking for an entry point for a long. And note that 177.50 is the call wall. And soon after Apple reaches that call wall, these options traders take their foot off the gas, the hero signal levels off, then they started taking negative delta positions and price move lower. And note the hero signal did start to move higher. And this was really more of a head fake. We'll take a look at that in Bookmap in just a moment. All right, so good move higher this morning in Apple. And this is more like Meta really than Apple. Quick move higher. Hard to find an entry point on that. Let's zoom in on this. So what I was talking about, that quick move higher in hero consolidates. Remember 177.50. Let me draw a line there. 177.50 is the call wall. Price does move up above that level. Soon after breaching that level, options traders take the foot off the gas. Start taking negative delta positions down to this level of very high liquidity at 176.50. Looked like that was going to be a good point for a bounce and really did not amount to much. Maybe if you caught that full move, maybe about a point in Apple. So what looked like it would be a promising pullback back up to at least the call wall did not play out. But the first move with the hero alerts did play out for a nice bullish move in Apple. All right, let's move on. Next is Google. Let's see what options traders are doing at Google. And by the way, when I'm reviewing these setups, what I'm thinking about is I'm reviewing the day. What did I miss? What could I have done better? I'm looking at some trades. Some I took, some I didn't. Again, with the attitude of reviewing the day, reviewing setups, what I could have done better, how could I improve, and what did I do well today. All right, so this is Google. Note the call wall at 160. That's key for today. Initial move higher, right up to just below the call wall. Hero flow alert comes in. Another one comes in. And this time with the breach of the call wall, right just before 10 a.m., hero moves lower, price moves lower. Call wall does its job, acts as resistance as expected. Let's move on to Google. All right, so here it is. Here's the 160 call wall. Again, doing its job, acting as resistance. Entry points as traders, options traders take the foot off the gas, start taking negative delta positions. Here's a pullback to VWAP. And then a trend break. So potential very clear shorts just right around 10:30 at VWAP, and then just as at that trend break. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. All right, so if you miss this second, this touch of the call wall, Secondary entry, really right, I guess right around 10:30. Test a VWAP and then a move lower. All right, let's move on. Meta. Flow alert just a couple of minutes after the open. Hero signal falling, looking for a short. Let's go to Meta. Oops. Meta opening print. Quick move higher up to 520. Price reverses lower. Traders taking negative delta positions, looking for a short. Let's go back to Hero. So Hero has been trending lower all day. Secondary entry right around this area, right around 517, as Hero signal starts to move lower again. That was around 11:45 or 12 o'clock. So Meta moved back up to right around the 517 level, then reversed lower as traders started taking negative delta positions again. So a late morning entry, then a quick move down all the way to 511. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA down there, low of the days, not low of the day, 900 call wall, key gamma strike, acting as resistance. Just after the cash open, aggressive buyers on the way up, then aggressive sellers start to come in. Multiple tests of 895 and VWAP. Just like Meta. Price returns to that 895 level, just below, making a little bit lower highs. All right, let's see what options traders are doing. Go to NVIDIA. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Please let me know. I'll be glad to do that. All right, so again, flow alert at the open. Potential resistance level at the 900 call wall, key gamma strike. Hero shifting lower. Let's zoom in on this. Call wall, key gamma strike. Flow alert, Hero moving lower, price moving lower. I'm looking for an entry point for a short. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, Caesar says trend breaks with flow seem to be really nice. Yeah, that's a good way to look at things. I draw trend lines on my charts quite often. Trend break, lower highs. All right, so short in NVIDIA down near the lows of the day again. All right, KP wants to take a look at SLV. All right, I don't have SLV in Bookmap. We can take a look in Hero, see if it's there. Take a look at SLV. SLV, call wall at 27. Did act as resistance earlier today. Note there was a lot of chop earlier today. Spotgamma has indicated when there are a lot of flow alerts coming in close to the same time, that's indicative of chop. Just price moving up and down in a narrow range. And then finally, right around 11:15, Hero signal shifts sharply lower and price moves lower, breaking below that 27 call wall. All right, WRB wants to take a look at Tesla. Last time I checked, Tesla was a pretty choppy mess today. So now it looks like Tesla finally resolving lower, maybe around 11:45. Earlier today, Tesla was pretty choppy. Let's zoom in on this. So in this case, the Hero signal, early Hero signal for Tesla was somewhat of a head fake. Options traders took their foot off the gas pretty quickly. Just right around 9:40, 9:45. Then started to take negative delta positions around 10:10. And since then, Tesla has been moving lower. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Let's go to Tesla. All right, here's this choppy mess for Tesla in at least the first hour. And then finally moves lower, right around 11:45, 12 o'clock. Trend break. And Tesla moves below VWAP as traders were taking negative delta positions. Note also that cumulative volume delta has been falling all day. All right, Caesar says, seems like flow as well as Bookmap aren't as reliable for ETFs. Yeah, I would agree. I think the Hero signal for a stock is more pure, if you would say that. Like for Apple, the only thing that is influencing Apple, it's just a single entity, single stock, and options trades as well as aggressive buyers and sellers are moving price for a stock like Apple or Tesla or NVIDIA. So I think price action for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, of course, they're the ETF versions of those, take a little bit more interpretation. Of course, there's much more information as well with stop orders and iceberg orders. All right, Elizabeth, my opinion on SOUN for a long-term stock. Sorry, I'm not familiar with that stock, and I really can't give any opinions on long-term stocks. We can take a look in Hero. I'll let you see what's going on today. So I look at, see if it's, I've never heard of that stock, so I don't know if it's even available. Yeah, it is. All right, so low price stock, very thinly traded. Looks like there are options trades. They've been taking negative delta positions all day. Price has been moving lower. So Elizabeth, sorry, other than that, I can say for today that it would have been a good short. The hero signal moving lower from the open. Of course, a low price stock like this is most likely hard to borrow in most brokers' trading platforms. But it is moving below the 450 put wall. All right, does anyone have any other stocks they want me to take a look at? So again, Caesar, back to your comment. Yeah, that's why I have mostly stocks here, except for QQQ and SPY. Mostly stocks and the equity index futures. And of course, Mag 7. All right, Caesar wants to take a look at Rivian. Sure, I don't have that in Bookmap. We can take a look in Hero. Another low price stock. Looks like there is some decent notional value here at around minus 7 million. Traders taking negative delta positions. Hero moving lower from the open. Would have been a good short. Let me just check one thing. All right, in my broker's platform, I use TradeStation. So it's not really the best platform for low price stocks. Rivian is hard to borrow. So maybe if you have another trading platform, like I think JTrader uses Cobra, which is much more suitable for selling short, finding hard to borrow stocks, borrowing hard to borrow stocks. All right, let's go back and check the SP 500. All right, Caesar says, yeah, much cleaner, reliable signals, so much less noise on equities versus ETFs. So yeah, ETFs are a basket of stocks. So you have all these competing stocks, which may have different signals. All right, very choppy hero signal for SP 500. Again, driven, at least earlier today, large part by zero DTE traders shown by that teal line. Well, let's take a look at Mag 7. So last time we looked, the Mag 7 signal was leveling off. That still looks like the case. Traders have taken their foot off the gas. But now Nasdaq chopping around lows of the day. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Nasdaq. And note for Nasdaq, point of control did move down. That line before was right at NQ 18,300. And that line now moved down to right around the QQQ 438 level. That is the dark purple line, moved down. Looks like it's right around here right now. So just right around the 438 level. Let's zoom in. See what that white line is. All right, so that is the 18,000 level, NDX 18,000, QQQ 438, and then here's point of control. Has moved down now to around these cluster of levels. Looks like CVD, cumulative volume delta, is moving lower. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go back to Hero. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So the Hero signal is still chopping around. All right, Edmund Lee asks, what is point of control? Point of control is that is the volume point of control. That is the level with the highest amount of volume. That's where again, the highest amount of volume. And let me show you, let's go back to Bookmap. This is for the session volume profile. So this is, and my session begins at the opening for Nasdaq from yesterday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I have backfill data that I get. I open up Bookmap sometime between 6:30 and 7 a.m. Eastern time. Then I will load about 12 hours of backfill data. So this is shown in the session volume profile over here to the far right, this far right column. Point of control, again, the level with the highest traded volume. And Edmund asks, how is point of control different from VWAP? VWAP is volume weighted average profile. So you can search those terms on Google. You should be able to find more exact definitions of VWAP and point of control. All right, everyone, my time is up. Edmund asks, highest amount of session volume, a particular price? Yes. So Edmund, you can take a look at go to bookmap.com, go to the knowledge base. You can search for point of control, and you can see a more detailed explanation. Or just search on Google, volume point of control, and VWAP, and you'll see the difference. All right, so the downtrend continues. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks again. Bye.